Mirror, mirror on the wall, how badly did Disney's new Snow White flop after all?
I seriously didn't know that things got this bad for this Rachel Zegler Snow White movie, but I'm reading this right now, and I'm worried about Rachel Zegler's career. I don't see how she comes back from...
Every time she speaks, she gets less likable.
She's now bragging about the success of Snow White, which is a movie that's going to lose hundreds of millions of dollars. And mainly because of her, and because nobody wanted to support her.
Doesn't need a prince to save her, and not surrounded by 7 weird people. Oh, okay, just CGI fictional goblins, I guess.
There are empty theaters all around the country. We are now at a 1 out of 10 on IMDb for the new Snow White, and couldn't happen to a better...
But you don't seemingly like your own character, so she comes off as an insufferable, whiny brat.
Controversy around the film began ever since we learned that there would be no Prince Charming because apparently he kissed her without consent, and also no woman needs a man to rescue her. The movie also used CGI for the 7 dwarfs rather than actors because they thought using real people would be offensive.
Rachel Zegler is extraordinarily woke, but she's woke in a way that's quite deranged.
I don't think they're gonna buy it. I don't think they're gonna watch it. I don't think they're gonna like it.
But Rachel Zegler made it so hateable that you really sabotaged and took hundreds of millions of dollars from the studio. I don't know how anyone would ever want to go into business with her.
Rachel is literally the star of a Disney movie, and she acts like she's some sort of victim, and that's the sort of mentality that is just poisoning people's minds. Like, she acts like her life is so bad.
Yeah, we had more dwarfs than we did viewers in most of these theaters. And as you know, there were no dwarfs other than some CGI weird generated version of them.
And if she hadn't have opened her mouth, I think that this movie might have done well. They might have just been able to ride on the hopium of the movie and some well-cut trailers, and people would have paid to go see it, and then it would have fallen off when people knew it was garbage.
This truly is the worst casting, maybe, in the history of the film industry.
Disney's Bob Iger says their mission is to entertain, not send messaging as Snow White sales compete for worst performing live-action Disney adaptation.
You know, they say, go woke, get broke, and Disney's going to lose money on this movie. And I believe it only made less than $1 million in China.
Do you know, how hard it is to find an attractive young woman in Hollywood who can act and sing? It's not hard. Who just isn't going to offend half the country.
I truly do believe that. There's something wrong with her. She's disturbed. She's unhappy. The reality is she's just not stable. Like the majority of people in Hollywood, they're just not stable human beings. I would highly advise that you boycott this film, no matter how much your children love Snow White.
They spent $170 million to make the thing, and it had the lowest opening, under $50 million, of any of these live-action Disney remakes that they've ever had. Don't alienate half of the country when you're putting out a product meant to appeal to all. It's the Michael Jordan Republicans buy sneakers too.
Some of you want us to hire actual dwarf humans, and then we thought we would have CGI magical creatures. How about this? We'll still offend the dwarves, but we'll CGI.
And if you disagree with this sentiment, I don't need your business. Thanks.
I don't need your business. You know what? Maybe Disney does. Maybe you're a tool, you're a pawn in this film. He didn't write it. He didn't direct it. You have nothing to do with the creation of Snow White.
Right.
You should shut up and do the...
Disney is catching heat from every direction. And this time it's not just a small backlash. It's a full-on firestorm. Independent shop owners across the country are pulling every bit of Snow White merch off their shelves, gone. And honestly, can you blame them? This isn't just about a fairy tale anymore. It's turned into a complete PR disaster. So what went wrong? Buckle up. Disney thought they were being clever by giving Snow White a modern spin, but instead of refreshing the story, they pretty much burned the original down and danced on the ashes. No dwarves, no charm, no happily ever after. Just pure chaos. Right in the middle of it all, Rachel Zegler. Yep, she's gone from rising star being blamed as the face of Disney's downfall in record time. She's been acting like the whole studio exists just so she can show up, say a few lines, twirl in a dress, and grab a paycheck. And people aren't letting it slide. One fan even joked that Rachel treats Disney like her personal fashion sponsor. She shows up, models a dress, and bounces. And honestly, they're not wrong.
Every one of the 18 hours I am in this Snow White dress, I expect to get paid. If it's 18 hours, I want 18 hours of pay. I'm sure she got underpaid as a Disney lead actor.
Now, if you think we're being dramatic, stick around. This whole situation is messier than a Real Housewives reunion. And the tea is still flowing. Disney's been making some questionable decisions for a while, but this might be their boldest flop yet. And the internet isn't holding back. People are calling it tone-deaf, lazy, even flat-out disrespectful. And for a company built on magic and dreams, that's a seriously bad look. So yeah, the House of Mouse might need a full-on rebranding spell after this disaster, and we're just getting warmed up. Did Disney actually think no one would notice them throwing millions down the drain faster than you can say once upon a time? Like, seriously, did they think the fans wouldn't care? Let's rewind for a second. The original Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs wasn't just some random cartoon. That movie built the Disney empire. We're talking 1937. Legendary status. It laid the first brick of the whole fantasy empire. Messing with that? That's like changing Grandma's secret pie recipe. You swap one thing, and boom, you start a family feud that'll be remembered for years. But did Disney care? Not even a little. They went full steam ahead on a remake that's getting dragged harder than a bad lip sync on live TV. Test audiences didn't even call it a movie. They called it a TikTok compilation with a storyline crisis and no heart. No soul. Just a messy mix of trending visuals and random edits. One person even said it felt like the algorithm directed it.
A few lessons for Disney. Number one, stop cannibalizing all your old IP. Like, it's really bad. It's really bad business. Number two, please stop changing all of the historic plots, which actually have meaning to generations of people, to instead become generic woke story about how woman leads revolutionary uprising and she don't need no man.
Now, here's the wild part. Instead of saying, okay, maybe we messed up, Disney went into full-on denial mode. They threw even more money at the problem. More PR, more post-production, more spin. Like they really believed that a little sparkle could cover up the fact that the whole project was falling apart. According to insiders, Disney was convinced the name alone, the brand, was untouchable. That anything stamped with the castle logo would automatically be a hit. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. Fans came in like digital snipers, zeroing in on every weak spot and tearing apart online. The acting? Called flat. The writing? Roasted. The overall vibe? Cringeworthy, with a dash of desperation. AS1 viral comment nailed it. Turns out this fairy tale wasn't bulletproof. It was full of holes, and the internet didn't pull any punches. Now let's talk about the money meltdown. Snow White 2025 is quickly becoming one of Disney's biggest money pits ever. We're talking about a flop so bad you can almost hear the execs grinding their teeth in those shiny boardrooms. With every new box office prediction, the numbers drop lower. Early viewers have been seen storming out of half-empty theaters, looking dazed, like they just watched a student film directed by a confused mime. Some even said it felt like an artsy fever dream, but in the worst way imaginable.
That story is Snow White. Snow White bombs, breaks records for the lowest live-action remake opening ever. Let me say that again, ever.
I mean, look at this right here. Snow White crashes 70% in second weekend box office.
And then came the IMDb reviews. Yikes. The movie's rating crashed to a shocking 1.6 out of 10. Like the entire internet teamed up just to roast this film into the ground. Review after review says the direction is so strange that even people who normally live for cringy cinema couldn't defend it. Social media is overflowed with posts calling it the clearest sign, yet that Disney's magic wand might finally be out of power. And the memes? Unmatched. People are roasting the woke dwarfs for ghosting the movie, comparing the plot to a school play written during detention, and saying the visuals look like a horror movie filter from Netflix. And it's not just a story getting torched. Fans are going after the tone, the lighting, even the camera angles. Every part of it screams expensive mistake, and if you thought there was still a chance to save it, yeah, not looking too good. People are saying the plot is such a chaotic mess. It feels like an over-caffeinated intern copy-pasted scenes from 3 totally different movies. 1 minute Snow White's belting out a pop anthem like she's auditioning for The Voice. The next she's stuck in some moody dystopian setting that feels pulled from a rejected sci-fi script that's giving major identity crisis. And don't even look for the charming prince. He's just gone, replaced by a clunky empowerment subplot that feels as last minute as a celebrity cameo no one asked for.
Right there, that's it. 163,000 rating, of which it got 1.6, not out of 5. Like, you know, sometimes you go to McDonald's, it's 1.6 out of 5.
Yeah.
1.6 out of 10.
Because once more, look at this right here. This movie has crashed in the second week that it's been out. 70% this movie.
Critics aren't holding back either. They're saying this isn't even about uplifting strong female characters anymore. It's just one big flashing message that crashes into plot like a truck with no brakes. And that final dance scene? Oh, don't even get me started. Everyone's floating around in all white outfits like they accidentally wandered off the set of a low-budget cult documentary. One guy walking out of the theater muttered, "That's 30 seconds I'll never get back." And honestly, he wasn't the only one to AT this point. You'd think Disney would have learned that messing too much with a classic almost always ends in disaster. But nope.
The movie went over budget, right? Went over about $250 million. They had the whole dwarf midget issue where they decided they weren't going to have any midget actors, right? They were having DEI-inspired magical creatures to replace.
I remember back in 2023 when this was going on and all the little people making videos saying, well, wait, there's so few roles for us in Hollywood. We're being passed over for this. You could have cast seven little people.
Here we are. Looks like no one passed along the Don't Ruin a Classic memo. And right at the center of this whole storm, Rachel Zegler, now crowned by the internet as the queen of controversies, or maybe just the queen of questionable comments. Grab your snacks, because Rachel has officially turned into a one-woman PR disaster. Sure, she showed up with some early buzz thanks to a few musical roles. But when it comes to Snow White, her attitude's been colder than a deep freezer. She flat out called the original story outdated, and even threw shade at the prince, saying he gave off stalker vibes. Like, girl, what? There's even that clip where she says, I know you've told me before that your version of Snow White is different, and it's more of a 2022 version. As if rewriting history with some sass suddenly makes it better. Because yeah, nothing screams honoring a legacy like dragging it to the mud while still cashing Disney checks. And then she really cranked it up, saying she should have been paid for every hour she had to wear the Snow White dress. That one definitely didn't land well. One angry commenter clapped back. If you hate the role so much, why even take it? And honestly, the internet agreed. Her social media turned into a full-blown war zone. Critics called her arrogant, and Rachel, she fired right back, calling them stuck in the past. Yeah, because insulting your future audience is totally the way to sell movie tickets, right?
Her heroine cannot be in love or be saved by a man, the prince, that she's more focused on becoming the leader she was meant to be, as if women in modern-day America must make that choice.
Some people are now claiming the Backlash is all part of a planned smear campaign. But whether that's true or not, one thing's for sure, this casting choice brought way more drama than Disney ever signed up for. A lot of folks aren't buying a targeted narrative. They're saying Rachel Zegler isn't being attacked. Now she's doing the damage all on her own. She's been busy retweeting praise from her fans like she's on some kind of victory tour, while brushing off everyone else as outdated fossils. Yep, if there were ever a live masterclass on how not to handle your public image, she's teaching it. Front row seats, no tuition required. Meanwhile, somewhere deep in the Disney offices, the PR team is probably curled up in a corner with a script, whispering, please make it stop. Like they're trapped in a slow-motion horror film.
I know that you've told me before that your version of Snow White is different, and it's more of a 2022 version of Snow White. What did you mean by that?
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Super weird.
So we didn't do that this time.
I'm gonna stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess. I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
People have real problems and no one gives a if she got paid for 17 instead of 18 on her multi-million-dollar salary, which is not calculated by the...
But oh, the drama doesn't stop with her. The movie itself, about as subtle as a brick to the face when it comes to pushing political messages. There's no smooth blending of new values into the old story. Nah, it's like they hooked up a fire hose to a social justice manifesto and just let it blast. Every scene feels like it was shaped by a dozen different focus groups, each yelling louder than the last. And somehow both the left and the right are roasting it. That's not just a flop. That's an Olympic-level misfire. Political commentators are calling it lecture first, entertainment later, and the script honestly feels like it was written off a checklist. Add empowerment, remove dwarves, sprinkle in moral speeches. Disney claims they're honoring Snow White's timeless bravery. Right, because we all remember that magical scene in the original where she pauses mid-song to school the forest animals on modern-day ideology. If you were holding on to hope that producers might finally understand that mixing fairy tale magic with modern messaging takes actual skill, yeah, this one's gonna let you down fast in a firework that fizzles out mid-sky. Word is, Disney's corporate HQ is in full-blown meltdown mode. Picture a clown car on fire, spinning in circles. That's the level of chaos. Sources say last-minute product pullbacks are happening in stores, with some employees now calling Snow White merch toxic inventory. Yikes. Financially, it's a total nightmare. The movie's production budget soared past $250 million, and that's before the marketing circus even started. which, let's be real, spent most of its time trying to convince us this thing was somehow enchanting. Now, with ticket sales in a nosedive, big names like Bob Iger are feeling the heat. Investors? Fuming. Think angry troll under a bridge, levels of mad, minus the charm. Insiders say a few top execs are quietly updating their resumes, just in case this crash land hard enough to shake the entire upper deck.
Be a leader as a female and fall in love and be rescued by a prince, like that's incongruous bull. That's only the left's version of what it means to be a strong woman or female empowerment.
Our rights are on the line, folks. Our reproductive rights. Come on.
Go get Cheshire Cat.
Go vote blue. And if you disagree with this sentiment, just hit the unfollow button.
Wow, what a scene.
I don't need your business.
So she just encapsulates everything that most of us cannot stand about modern day feminism and the left in general and Hollywood.
And speaking of Rattlestaff, on the inside, they've started calling the Project Snow wrong. And honestly, that's a polite version. Rumor has it, there are way harsher nicknames being whispered behind closed doors. Maybe, just maybe, Disney should have listened to those early test audiences. The ones who practically begged them to stop while there was still time. But hey, hindsight's 20/20, especially when it's playing on an empty theater screen now. Let's zoom way out. The entire entertainment world is watching this meltdown like it's the 4th of July. Fireworks exploding, smoke everywhere, and a few people ducking under chairs. Rival studios are straight up taking notes on how not to handle a legacy title. Because if Disney's golden child can crash and burn this badly, then nobody's safe. But this isn't just about Snow White. This whole disaster has sparked a much bigger conversation, one that's been bubbling under the surface for a while. People are finally asking, does Hollywood's obsession with remakes need to chill out? No matter how shiny the CGI is, it can't save a weak script or an actress who throws shade at the very story she's supposed to honor. Fans aren't clueless. They're tired of lazy reboots, fake nostalgia, and watered-down messages packed into every line. And hopefully, this train wreck forces studios to pause before bulldozing another childhood classic just for clout. Because what's the real moral of this Snow White remake? Number 1, maybe don't steamroll a Fairytale just to chase Twitter buzz. And number 2, if you're Rachel Zegler, it might be time to rethink the whole mock-the-fans strategy, especially if you actually want those fans to show up at the box office. Spoiler alert, they're not. Not emotionally, not physically, and definitely not financially. From strange creative choices to awkward interviews and PR fails that only made things worse. This might go down as Disney's most expensive lesson in what not to do.